hooked onto my face. Anyone else cool their hats off before they put them on? Or is it just me? We got gas. We're good to go. Got a drink. Have you tried this? These new Black Rifle 300s. They're a little on the expensive side, but they're not too bad. I get them as a little bit of a treat. Probably shouldn't be drinking this at 4:30 in the afternoon either, but who's counting? So now we got all that taken care of. Let's start this week's 5-Minute Friday. Put 5 minutes on the clock. And this week, I thought it'd be kind of fun to talk about, does size matter for filler wire? If you listen to the podcast, you know that my go-to thing is, it depends on the situation. So the size of your filler wire does matter on what you're welding, obviously. If you're doing some 035 wall small tube or thin sheet metal or something, you're obviously not going to want to use 332 filler wire, or I think it's 2.4 millimeters. You want to use something that's comparable to the size of the material that you're welding on. So one of the things that I stress to everybody when I'm teaching them how to TIG weld, and something that you have to keep in mind like 98% of the time, is the tungsten and the torch melt the metal. The puddle melts the filler wire. So if your filler wire is too big for the size of the puddle that you're going for, it's not going to melt the wire effectively. Can you do it? Yes, you can. You can weld a lot of things with like 1/8 inch filler wire. Is it ideal? No. Because that puddle is not big enough to melt that filler wire. And on the flip side of that, if you're welding something like, going for a 1/4 inch fillet weld, you don't want to use 045 wire for that. You'd just be shoving that wire in there to satisfy that size of a puddle. So the size of the weld that you're going for the material thickness kind of dictates what type of filler wire size you want to have on hand and that you want to be using. And if you go to pretty much any welding supply store, they will generally have 1/16 and 332, maybe 1/8 inch. Very rarely will they have 045 or smaller. They might have 035, maybe 045 in stainless, but that's about it. So if you're looking for thinner, smaller wires, you're going to want to have to go online and look for them on there. That'd be your best bet. I do say call your local welding supply and see what they have in stock, but probably going to have to order it. My go-to size for a lot of things is 045. And that's mainly because I like to be able to feed that wire into the puddle and satisfy the puddle with the filler wire, but still be able to control how much I'm putting in there. And for and that's on steel and stainless and different things like that, for like a 1/16 inch weld or something along those lines, a small weld. You know me, I do everything pretty small. If you're doing aluminum, and say it's an outside corner joint on 1/16 inch material, you could do, let's say 1/16 inch to 1/8 of an inch material for like sheet metal parts. You could use 1/16 filler wire or 332 filler wire, and that kind of gets into the personal preference area of what do you like? How do you like it to feel when you're adding the filler wire? Me, I like to use 1/16 for that because I want to feel pushing into that joint. I want to feel it go in there. If I'm using 332, I just feel like I'm kind of touching the side of the joint. And does it work? Yeah. Can you get a really nice weld that's penetrated and it works? Yeah, absolutely. It just goes back to personal preference and what are you used to. a lot of people that work in an industry of bigger things, like my current day job, the smallest filler wire they have is 1/16th, whereas my previous job, it went down to 20 thousandths wire. They rarely would you go over a 16th. So it really depends on the type of work you're doing, what industry you're in. If you're doing just regular job shop stuff or stuff, having filler wires for your home shop, I would have on hand 045, 1/16th, 332, and possibly 1/8 inch of steel and stainless. For aluminum, 1/16th, 332, and possibly 1/8 inch. That will pretty much cover you for everything. 045 aluminum filler wire is, I don't want to say kind of pointless, because there is a place for it for sure. I've used it before, but it gets really squirrely, and I honestly would rather just use 1/16th if I'm going to go do something that small. So like I said before, if you are, I gotta cut in front of this truck because, like I said before, really it depends on what you're doing and the size of the puddle that you're going to be laying. If you're laying a really big, hot, heavy puddle, you need to have a filler wire that can satisfy the size of that puddle. And if you are feeling the wire sticking as you're adding the wire to the puddle, the wire sticks and it's hard to pull in and out, you are using too big of a filler wire. Try going down a size. If your welding supply store sells you on 332, well, go back in and see if you can buy a pound of 1/16th. I guarantee you it'll be a game changer for you. If you feel like you're shoving the wire in the puddle and you just can't keep up with it, then go up a size, and I guarantee you'll see night and day difference. So hopefully that helps. Hopefully that explains things, maybe clears things up for you. And if you have any questions that you'd like to hear answered, leave them in the comments below or over on the forum, and we'll catch you on the next 5 Minute Friday.